Hi, all. Welcome to The Happier Attorney, where we talk about flat fees and mindset. I'm Brita Long, the author and creator of The Happier Attorney. And today we're going to talk about what happens externally and internally when we underprice. Now, this is primarily for attorneys who are already using flat fees. But even if you're not using flat fees, if you are not bringing in the money, not collecting, whatever, this still applies. So what happens when and undercharging is probably the largest issue that attorneys have with flat fees by far. What happens externally when we undercharge is that we have to take on more cases. The math is the math. Running a law firm is expensive. It takes a lot of money. Living is expensive. It takes a lot of money. So if you are charging 1 when you should be charging 5, or you're charging 5 when you should be charging 30, that means that you're going to have to bring in more clients, which means more marketing, more networking, less time. We're circling the drain now. Again, the math has to work. You're also then stretched more time, more irritation, less training for your staff, less bandwidth, more stress, all of the external things because you are undercharging. But what I'm really going to focus on today is the internal. What that does to you internally, which is far more dangerous because it's insidious. That feeling when the number flies out of your mouth in that initial consultation and you know it's too low. You feel it. You feel it in your gut. You're like, That feeling sucks. It sucks, whether they hire you or not. And half the time you're praying that they don't. Because if they do, and you then have to do this work for what you just quoted, which you do, you're almost immediately resentful to your brand new client. You're almost immediately, whether it's conscious or not, trying to adjust and like, okay, well, I'm not going to go extra. I'm going to do my job. I'm not going to commit malpractice. I'm not going to, totally drop the ball, but I'm not going to go extra because they only paid me, this amount. Well, they only paid that because that's all you asked for. It's not their fault. It starts also eroding your self-esteem and your self-worth. I'm not kidding. Because you've just told yourself, I'm only worth this. Now, I know all of the rationale. I've heard it all thousands of times. Oh, my clients, they balk at paying this. How in the world could I ask for more? Well, sometimes you need different clients. If you are marketing in the Walmart parking lot or the Dollar Tree parking lot, then you're going to have low prices. That means really high volume. Again, the math has to math. So you're not going to try and continue to market in the dollar store parking lot for a higher end product. That doesn't work. So you might have to be shifting your target audience, which is actually pretty easy to do. But most of the time, in my experience personally and with all my attorney clients, they're just not asking for it. When they start asking for it, people do it. It's not shocking to me anymore. It's shocking to the new clients where somebody will start working with me and the first time they try it, they're like, oh my gosh, I asked for double what my fee used to be and they didn't balk, they just paid it. Oh my gosh, this works. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then they start beating themselves up because, oh my gosh, I could have been asking for this years ago. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. That's not helpful. You know now. Let's move forward. But yet, that fear wasn't real. It wasn't real. Is everyone going to sign up with proper pricing? No, you don't need them. You don't want everybody. And if somebody is primarily interested in low cost, is that really who you want for your client? No. We say they're not going to pay. They will. Again, especially if you are targeting the right people and bringing in the right people. It's also signaling when your price is low, it's also signaling to your potential client, you're not that great. Your work isn't that great. Price is subjective and our perception of the product changes based on the price. Even us attorneys, much less everybody else. When there is a higher price, people perceive the value to be higher, period. I use this analogy with people all the time. I say, what is your dream car? And they'll say a dream car. Okay, what would that cost? Oh, 80 grand, 100 grand, whatever. And I say, okay, so if I came to you and said, I have this car and I'm going to sell it to you for 60 grand. What is your reaction? What does your gut say? What is your initial and it's always the same. It's, what's wrong with it? Yeah. So when you are underpricing, you're actually signaling to your potential client, something's wrong with your work or something's wrong with you. There's a reason it's that cheap. Underpricing also harms your client. There's not just the perception. Then they don't have as much skin in the game. If they don't have enough skin in the game, they're not going to do what you tell them to do. And we need our clients to do what we tell them to do, and we need them to not do what we tell them not to do. And if I don't have any skin in the game, I'm going to be okay. If I have a lot of skin in the game, a lot of money on the line, I am far more inclined to do what you tell me to do. Which creates a better experience for the client and a better result. So now we're, going up the ladder instead of going down the drain. There's also, I cannot describe the feeling when you price well. Even when you I'm just going to do it. I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm going to say a number that makes me want to vomit. I had a client who came up with the vomit. She called it the vomit number. And the client turns around and pays you. oh my gosh, it feels amazing. It feels amazing. And then what do? You turn around and, man alive, unless you're an unethical attorney, you turn around and you, holy cow, do such an amazing job for that client. You do such an amazing job for that client. And now, instead of just pushing paper, you're really proud of your work. What does that do for your self-esteem? What does that do for your idea of your value? When you can look at that work and go, yeah, I am proud of that work. That is, oh my gosh, I can't even describe it. So the real cost of underpricing is really to you internally. And when you are doing it, you know, some of you have 10 plus initials a week. Imagine telling yourself 10 times a week, I'm not that valuable. My work isn't that valuable. No one would ever pay X for the work. That is a really dangerous place to be. And I've been there. When I started the Happier Attorney, I had my own mindset issues, my own value issues. And I worked with a coach. I was just trying to work with him on Facebook stuff and marketing. And I had just paid him a lot of money. It was a lot of money for me at the time. And when we started pricing the Happier Attorney, he's like, oh, this price needs to go through the roof. And I immediately freaked out. I told him, I said, and he worked exclusively with attorneys. So he knew attorneys. And I tell him, oh, you don't know attorneys. There is not an attorney around who would pay that. And he didn't miss a beat. And he said, you just did. Crap. Thankfully, I trusted him. I was still scared to death. I trusted him. And we jacked the price up. Tweaked a couple things, but it was essentially the same. That week, 3 attorneys bought with very little effort on my part. It was all in my head. It was all fear. Same with you. It's all fear. And some of it is, oh my gosh, if I charge that, whatever that is, that means I really need to bring it. And some of you are scared that maybe I can't do the work to that level. My guess is you can. My guess is that when you have the bandwidth, when you have the time, you can. So don't sabotage yourself by that nonsense. Okay? So when you are using flat fees well and you are pricing well, you're like, how do I do that? Well, get in the program. You got a couple weeks left, or read Happier Attorney, the 2nd edition. But when they're used right and they're priced right, it's not just a structural correction. You're not just going to get the external. It's forcing you to be honest with yourself. And most attorneys, I think, are really pretty honest people, actually, with everybody else. It's ourselves that we lie to. And those lies, they hurt. They're going to ruin your life. They're going to keep you stuck. or going backwards. Okay? So this isn't about just charging more arbitrarily, it's about you examining what you're bringing to the table, what the value is to the client, how are they better off as a result of hiring you, what the impact is of their life, and charging for that. Not being afraid to charge for that. Forget what other people are charging. Just because they don't value their work doesn't mean you shouldn't. Be the leader of the pack. I know that's scary. Believe me, I know that's scary. But they're not paying your mortgage. Be a leader. This is your life. These are your finances. These are your cases. These are your caseloads. Your practice. How do you want it to look? How do you want it to run? How much money do you want to make? How much do you want to work? What kind of work do you want to actually do for your clients? But you got to price accordingly. Okay? So if you are interested in the program, link is in the description. Take care, friends.